The battle over immigration enforcement continues in the courtroom. We have the latest on what's now required of the senior Border Patrol chief.
Overnight, a young child fell from a second-story window in Wicker Park. We share details from Chicago Police and an update on how the child is now doing.
Taking a live look outside, Mike does say today will be like yesterday, a little copy and paste, but with less wind.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us for this 5 o'clock hour of Good Day. I'm Brian Jackson.
And I'm Gabriela Primus. Thank you so much for joining us. Mike Kaplan is also here, and yes, we're talking about what's happening today, and we're really looking forward for tomorrow.
This morning, a 5-year-old is injured after falling from a window. Chicago police were on the scene last night, investigating inside the home in a courtyard area. It happened in the 1700 block of North Mozart Street. This is in the Wicker Park neighborhood. The child reportedly fell from a second-story window about 25 to 30 feet up. Police went to Schroeder Hospital and spoke with a family member. They said that the boy was playing and lost his balance before falling. We're told that the boy has minor injuries.
Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino will sit for a deposition in federal court in Chicago today.
But an emergency ruling cleared him from having to report to the courthouse every weekday. Roseanne is live this morning at the Dirksen Federal Building with the latest developments.
Well, that's right. As you said, the Border Patrol chief will be here, and he will appear in federal court for a deposition expected to take up to 5 hours today. But he will not be coming to this courthouse daily, as was ordered just Tuesday by U.S. District Judge Sarah Ellis.
A mutual aid hub set up near the Broadview ICE facility has been ordered to come down, and today the organizers will rally in protest. The Yes We canopy was set up to provide legal resources, safety, and mutual protection against what they call aggressive ICE operations. Organizers were told the hub was in violation of public camping ordinance. However, they say the move is an attack on people's rights to assemble and provide essentials to those being targeted.
Illinois Senator Dick Durbin is showing support to the students exercising their rights against ICE in Little Village. Earlier this week, hundreds of students in the neighborhood walked out of school to protest immigration enforcement operations. Durbin praised their efforts on the Senate floor on Wednesday.
I salute these students in Little Village for the courage that they showed. I hope that students across the Chicagoland area and beyond will stand in solidarity with them in peaceful protest to the intimidation that's taking place in Little Village.
Good Wednesday morning to you. Welcome to Good Day Chicago. I'm Gabriela Primus.
I'm Brian Jackson. Here's a look at some of the stories we're following for you this morning.
Crowded cells, no beds, and water that tasted like sewer. That's how some detainees describe conditions inside of the ICE facility in Broadview. We'll share more details on a lawsuit accusing the government of mistreatment.
In a separate case, federal agents are accused of destroying evidence related to a shooting that sent a woman to the hospital. A hearing on this matter is scheduled for today at noon.
And I hear we have somewhat of a cosmic phenomenon happening right now in the sky. Mike, is that a look at it?
That indeed it is. We're not talking about the crane. We're talking about the supermoon, which is out there. Yeah, we have a beautiful full moon. Technically, the moon will be full here, what is it, in 2 hours and 44 minutes. But it's essentially full right now, being dimmed a little bit by some clouds that are streaking through, but that's going to be scattering out here.
A blistering motion was filed by the defense of a 30-year-old Miramar Martinez, who's demanding a hearing after federal agents allegedly destroyed the most critical piece of evidence in her case. At the center of the investigation and shooting of the 30-year-old is the claim she rammed into agent's Chevy Tahoe. The government claims the agent felt his life was in danger, so he shot her 5 times. We previously reported that soon after the shooting, the SUV was driven to Maine, where it was later repaired. These FBI photos are the only existing images showing minor scrapes and paint transfer on the Border Patrol vehicle. A court filing from yesterday says the defense says the government is trying to control the narrative by releasing only 2 photos of the damage. The court filing specifically refers to the SUV and mentions the 1984 movie Karate Kid, saying, quote, the defense will highlight significant altercations done to CBP vehicle at the hearing and disputes the government's Karate Kid wax on, wax off narrative in its response.
As I was driving and just saw a flash of light come from the sky.
All right, as far as we know, it wasn't a UFO, but a suburban police officer is getting some attention for his captivating video of a meteor streak caught on camera on Saturday, October 25th. At about 5 a.m., Officer Jacob Wiggly was patrolling on Route 83 from St. Charles Road when he saw this meteor streak towards South Elmhurst.
I was kind of confused exactly what it was at the time. So I just hit the record button in my squad car, and I kind of showed the rest of the shift, and I'm like, I don't really know what this is, but just wanted to show the rest of the shift exactly what it was to get, a second opinion. And I didn't think anything of it when I just pressed to hit record when I saw in the sky. I had no idea it would turn into all this.
Officer Wiggly said, hopefully it means good luck. I don't know.
Imagine seeing that, Mike. What would you think it was immediately?
Fireball, right away. It is a meteor. If I saw that, some...
Not a UFO?
No, I'm not going with UFO. We talked to the guy yesterday.
We've talked a lot of UFOs the last few
Oh,
years.
my gosh.
I don't know.
But, most meteors that we see in the sky, they're about the size of a grain of sand.
Chief Greg Gravino set to testify. We'll preview today's hearing in federal court.
Also, new charges in the case of a woman who was found dead in a South Loop condo building. Her husband is now accused of murder almost exactly a year later.
And a live look at Jamaica, where Hurricane Melissa is expected to cause catastrophic damage. When it hits this morning, you could barely see through those raindrops. We're really hoping and praying for people there. I'm Gabriela Primus. Good morning to you.
I'm Brian Jackson as we check in with Mike for a look at the latest in Jamaica this morning. Behind you, that eyeball just looks downright terrifying, Mike.
As strong as it was yesterday, it got even stronger late yesterday, and it's maintaining its intensity now. This is the view from just a few hours ago, and you can see the storm south of Jamaica here. You can hopefully make out the country outline of Jamaica.
Satellite images show Jamaica's landscape before Hurricane Melissa made landfall and then after. Planet Labs PBC captured these images on September 18th and then on October 29th. You can see where flood water and erosion took hold of several parts of the island, including Black River, Middle Quarters, Montego Bay, towns along the Northern Coastal Highway, and the White House. A path of destruction also left behind in Cuba after Melissa made landfall there early Wednesday. So far, the storm has killed around 20 people in Haiti, although it was on the fringe, as Mike told us, and flooded more than 160 homes. 5 bodies were also found in Jamaica, and 1 person has died in the Dominican Republic. Mike, some of these video, I mean, I know we know that it could have been much worse, right? But still seeing some of this destruction is
bad enough. Yeah, they're going to need a lot of help there. Haiti, Jamaica, parts of the Bahamas hit hard too.
A live look right now this morning at the U.S. Capitol as the pressure over reaching a deal to fund the government continues to mount. 42 million Americans are bracing for a potential loss of food assistance.
The window to preview upcoming health care plans under the Affordable Care Act has also been delayed.
And this morning, the nation's largest federal employees union puts pressure on Democrats to accept a GOP plan to temporarily reopen the government.
Doug Luzader has more from Washington this morning. Doug, thank you for joining us. What was the message from the federal employees union yesterday?
Well, I think that, the timing of this might have been a little bit of a surprise, but the AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees, represents hundreds of thousands of federal workers.
President Donald Trump continues making progress on trade deals during his trip to Asia. The latest comes as tensions were growing again between the world's 2 biggest economies. President Trump is on his way back to Washington after what he calls an amazing meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping.
Yeah, the two met for nearly 2 hours in South Korea overnight. Doug Luzader has more from Washington this morning. So, Doug, let's start with what is the biggest takeaway from this meeting? President Trump announcing cuts to Chinese tariffs. So, what does this mean for the future of trade relations?
Well, I think, if you break it down, there's a lot of moving parts to this, but a big part of this has to do with lowering those tariffs that were put in place by the Trump administration to encourage China to really crack down on the sale of goods that could be used to manufacture fentanyl. This has been a long-standing issue between China and the United States. China apparently, Xi apparently kind of won over the president on this, and the president seemed convinced that Xi would do more to crack down on those sales, so he agreed to cut those tariffs in half. That's significant, and certainly the markets would imagine, like that news. On the other hand, you have China agreeing to buy U.S. soybeans. That was a real point of contention for the United States. Rare earth mineral restrictions are going to be lifted somewhat, although we don't know all the specifics on that. So, you know, there are a lot of parts to this. It's not a full comprehensive trade agreement. President Trump seems to indicate that that might come eventually, but, you know, by accounts from both sides, this is a meeting that went pretty well between Trump and Xi.
Well, a lot of things that I think business owners, people here in the U.S. were waiting for, and it seems like some okay news. Doug, I have to ask you, we saw Trump was gifted and wore a crown for a beat. Should it be surprising to people at home that he was so well received by, South Korea, some of these Asian countries compared to others?
No, I mean, I think he was very well received through the course of this trip. I mean, this was, 3 stops: Malaysia, Japan, South Korea. The president was certainly feted at each of those stops. Look, these countries have a lot on the line with the United States in terms of trade agreements and defense pacts and the like. So, yeah, I guess not surprising. They were certainly trying to win him over along the way during this trip.
And Doug, also President Trump has now instructed the Pentagon to immediately start testing U.S. nuclear weapons. Is this just a show of force?
Well, the president indicated he was very reluctant to do this. I think he would like to see fewer nuclear weapons in the world. But he said that this is really in response to what other nuclear-armed nations are doing. This is a matter of the U.S. Maintaining its status and its arsenal. So, we don't know what form those tests are going to take, but the president indicated that this would happen, and he put that out right before the meeting with Xi.
All right, that is our Doug Lozada reporting live from Washington this morning. Thanks so much for your time, Doug.
Thank you.